So here's the big question. How are entrepreneurs like us, who have been hustling and struggling to make it to success, who seem to make it one step forward only to fall two steps back, who are dedicated, determined, and driven, how do we finally break through and win? That is the question, and this podcast will give you the answers. My name is Brian Kelly, and this is the Mind, Body, Business Show. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Mind, Body, Business Show. We have yet another star-studded, stellar, special guest lined up for you. I cannot wait to introduce her to you and to share her brilliance with you. Her name is Julieanne O'Connor. She's coming on camera real soon. Don't go anywhere. This is the Mind, Body, Business Show. It is a show that I've developed for entrepreneurs by entrepreneurs in an effort to help you so that you can watch, learn, listen, and then model after successful people like Julieanne. So what you want to do is be sure to take notes throughout this show, because I'll tell you what, I've been doing this for now over 3 years. This particular show, I had another one before that 9 years ago, where I know that the value that's going to be dropped here tonight is going to be immense, and you won't want to miss a single word when she comes on in just a few moments. So the Mind, Body, Business Show is about the 3 pillars of success, and I spent over a decade studying only successful people because I wanted to finally figure out what the heck is it about them that makes them more successful than, say, me. And I thought, well, maybe they have a way of running and jumping in midair, landing in their pants 2 feet at a time instead of one like most humans. But I realized, no, they're just human, just like us. They just had these gifts. And they weren't actual gifts. They were things they developed over time. Mind being mindset. A very powerful, yet more importantly, flexible mindset. That is what all of these very successful individuals, to a person, distributed or displayed. And you can imagine that the 3 pillars, yeah, they're part of the name of this very show. The second one is body. And that was about the fact that they all, to a person, took care of themselves, both nutritionally and through regular exercise. Doesn't mean guys that were bodybuilders or women that were supermodels. They just took care of themselves. And then business. That is one of my favorite, they're all my favorite areas, but this is so multifaceted, because what I found was these individuals had mastered all of the skill sets necessary to build and maintain and grow thriving businesses. Things like marketing, sales, team building, systematizing, leadership. It just goes on and on and on and on. I could name them off all night long. The good news is, like you might be thinking, Brian, how do I master all those skill sets? The good news is you don't have to. If you master just one skill set, and I actually mentioned it in that list, if you just master one, then the others will be taken care of. And that one is the skill set of leadership. Once you've mastered that, you can now delegate to others who already have mastered those skill sets that you have not. And now you're ready to rock and roll much quicker, because let's face it, mastering anything takes a long time, just one thing. Can you imagine having to master all of the skill sets necessary to run, grow, and thrive on a business? It would just take forever. So why do that? Just master leadership, bring in a team. And we've got an expert tonight that has quite the team of her own, and she's doing just that. So this is the model. This is the thing you want to follow for success, many other things. And then another thing that I've noticed in my walk of studying all these people is also, to a person, they were all very voracious readers of the right books. And with that, I'm going to very quickly, I promise, segue into a little segment I affectionately call Bookmarks.
Bookmarks. Born to read. Bookmarks. Ready, steady, read. Bookmarks. Brought to you by reachyourpeaklibrary.com.
So there you see reachyourpeaklibrary.com on the side. If you're watching this on video, if you're listening on podcast, do the same thing. Keep listening and take notes. What I mean by that is actually take out, remember those old things that we used to use, those pads of paper and the old-fashioned pen or pencil? That's what I'm doing during the show, and I'm running this whole thing. So I don't ask or tell people to do anything I wouldn't do. And the reason is I would just so hate for you to miss out on a absolute golden nugget that Julieanne is about to bring to you. And instead, write down these resources like reachyourpeaklibrary.com. Write it down, take notes, stay with us. Because here's the thing, the magic happens in the room. I've spoken from stage for years, and I can't tell you how many times while on stage, I know when I'm about to give that golden nugget because, having delivered it so many times, you know which ones are the golden nuggets. And then I see someone get up and go to the bathroom and leave the room. And I just, inside, I'm hurting for them because I know they're missing out on probably the most important part of the entire event, and it could have changed their life, and they just missed it. And so I'd really not like for that to happen for you. So please, for yourself, take notes on all the resources and all the great nuggets that Julieanne is going to provide tonight. I cannot wait. She's coming on. reachyourpeaklibrary.com real quick. That is a resource I had built for you with the entrepreneur, the business person in mind, so that you could have a go-to resource of a collection of books that have been vetted by at least one other successful person so that you're not left guessing. And now you're not wasting your time by reading books that had no impact on a drove of people. These at least had a positive, very profound impact on at least one successful person. So at least your odds are increased in not wasting your time. So just grab the first book you see in there. This is not a money-making website. I kid you not. This is not what the reason I put this together or had it put together for. Those buy here buttons go straight to Amazon. So this is just a list for you, literally like a library, going no library card required even. You don't have to log in. Just click and go get your book. They're not free, unfortunately, but they're not that expensive, to be honest. All right, enough of that. It is time to get to the woman of the hour. Here we go. Are you ready?
It's time for the guest expert spotlight. Savvy, skillful, professional, adept, trained, big league, qualified.
And there she is, ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only, Julieanne O'Connor.
Woo! I love that big league. Qualified, yes.
All perfect adjectives of one Miss Julieanne O'Connor. I'll tell you that. That is for sure. Yes, indeed. So before I give you the respect you deserve, Julieanne, and formally introduce you, I got a little bit of housekeeping to take care of, and then we'll jump into that. Is that cool with you? Right on. So you might see, if you're watching this live, which I hope you are, just above Julieanne's left shoulder, there's a nice red logo there. That is the Big Insider Secrets by Jason Nast, a good friend of mine. And he has made available to us a 5-night stay at a 5-star resort. And we get to give this away every single show because of him and his company, the biginsidersecrets.com. Stay with us to the end, and I will give you the information on how you can enter to win every single show. It is so fun. And by the way, it is a legitimate vacation stay. What that means is you're not going to be taken by chains down to the basement and locked down for 4 to 8 hours listening to a timeshare. Has nothing to do with that. It's legit. He's gone and done it 3 times himself to test it out. Poor guy. He had to test it for us. And then amazing stuff here. If you're struggling with putting a live show together and it's overwhelming and you want a lot of the processes done for you while still enabling you to put on a high quality show and connect with great people like Julieanne O'Connor and grow your business all at the same time, then head on over to carpetbombmarketing.com. Carpet Bomb Marketing. Saturate the marketplace with your message. And one of the key components that is contained in the Carpet Bomb Marketing courses, and this is one that you'll learn how to absolutely master, is the very service we use to stream our live shows right here, right now on the Mind Body Business Show. Now, over the course of over 9 years, we've tried so many of these quote unquote TV studio solutions for live streaming specifically. And I have to tell you, Streamyard is the best of the best. It combines supreme ease of use along with unmatched functionality. So you can start streaming high quality, professional looking live shows, get this, for free with Streamyard now. Don't go to this website, write it down. Do not click away. Stay with us because the master is in the house, and that is Julieanne O'Connor, not me. And this is the website, ryp.im/streamlive altogether. ryp.im/streamlive. Go look at that after the show because right now we're bringing on the lovely Julieanne O'Connor back to the stage. Here she is. And now, to give her the respect she deserves, let's get to it, shall we? Putting Relate back into relationships worldwide, award-winning author, actor, TEDx, and NSA speaker and strategist, Julieanne O'Connor has dedicated her life to helping people bridge the gap between their professions and personal lives such that they live with massive clarity, freedom, generosity, and abundance. I'm loving this. A genius at helping people see their own potential and uncover their deepest purpose, Julieanne uses predictable systems to help CEOs, dentists, and executive level entrepreneurs uncover the gifts buried beneath their problems. And we all have those, don't we? Julieanne is a wife, mom, foster mom, and the founder of the SIO Dream Fund. At last, Julieanne O'Connor, the stage is yours. Just go ahead and talk.
No, thank you so much for that beautiful introduction. And Brian, it's so much fun to be on your show already. It just even the pre-show was fun. So.
Yeah. Got a few moments to have a chat and get to know each other. We had not, I don't think, met. Maybe we did virtually. We were trying to figure that out. That was fun. Yeah, and you're just such a light, Julieanne. You're just, you have so much wonderful energy and always smiling. You seem happy all the time. This is going to be a lot of fun. And don't let that fool you, those of you watching and listening. This is a very astute businesswoman. She knows what she's doing. What's wrong with having fun along the way? Absolutely nothing. What I like to do, Julieanne, your bio is phenomenal. Everyone gets a good glimpse into your experience, your accomplishments, and who you are as a person with, personally as a mom and a foster mom and that. But what I like to do is dig a little deeper. I like to kind of peel back the curtain of you and let's see what's going on in that beautiful brain of yours that helps you get to where you're at, helped you to get where you're at, and then keeps you on track and still moving upward every single day. So being an entrepreneur is super easy, right? There's no problems ever.
Right.
Yeah. And so because we all know that's not true, it is very imperative that we all have that mindset to get us through the day. So for you, what is going on in that beautiful brain of yours, say when you get up in the morning, knowing that the day ahead of you could be arduous, there could be tasks that are ahead, and we know there's always issues at hand every single day that must be addressed. For you, what is it that is going through that beautiful brain that is saying, I've got this? What is it? What's going on to get you through each and every day?
I love that question. Honestly, that there's one word that just is like, it's gratitude. I'm so grateful. I can tell you that I'm grateful for my cup of coffee. I'm like,
Me too.
it is a gift. Of course, my husband makes it for me, so I'm especially grateful. I always dedicate my morning to spending time with my husband in the morning. And it's the quiet time before the kids wake up. And so when I wake up, I literally, I sit and I talk with him for about an hour about ideas. It's like literally dedicated to ideas. And so I truly just wake up and I have gratitude and then I talk about ideas.
That's phenomenal. So you have your own built-in mastermind group in your own home.
Yeah, it is because, wherever two or more people come together, you have the third, right? Mastermind. And we committed that we would not talk about people years and years and years ago. We would talk about ideas. And so that's a practice. And a lot of people, I think, actually don't do that. And it's life-changing. So
I can imagine. I mean, right off the bat, we are dropping bombs of knowledge. I can see. I mean, we barely got started, and you're already hitting the target. Oh, I've got a million of them. But phenomenal, because that is so like genius. It's simple and genius at the same time. That it, look, it doesn't have to be, I'm talking to the audience, it doesn't have to be a spouse or a boyfriend, a girlfriend, significant other, but to start every day by hashing out ideas, maybe to end each day, but just to carve out part of the day. Because I think you're right, Julieanne. I don't think too many people do that. And that sounds like just a brilliant thing to do.
Yeah, it's a gift. And, I think it's really in having the discipline to guide your own conversation. And there's always a place for downloading things because we do deal with human beings, right? And so there's always stuff going on. But I think it's always shifting back to what is really a creative energy. And creative energy comes from, an imaginative space. It doesn't come from negativity. And so I love that you started the show talking about mindset, because that is the key, leadership, of course, coming from mindset as well. And so, yeah, this is fun already. See?
Yeah, I call mindset the foundation of all business. And I always say that, whether you're successful or you're not, it's all due to only one person's mindset, and it's yours. You can't point at anyone else. Where you are today is 100% up to you. It's because of you. I'm never going to say it's your fault, because, well, if you're successful, I can say it's your fault, because that'll be a good thing. But definitely the mindset's where it all begins. And thankfully, I learned this not long ago, but thankfully I did learn it before it was too late. So I'm 56 now. I learned it around the age of 47 at a deep, deep level, using neurolinguistic programming as the base science for it all. And my gosh, what a game changer. Wow.
Yeah. I heard a great story once about somebody was hashing it out with some woman about taking responsibility for what they had manifested in their life. And it was sort of an interesting example where he said, she said, well, how can you tell me it's my responsibility when somebody broke into my place, they ripped me off, et cetera, right? And I remember what he said is, he's like, well, let me ask you, did you have an alarm? No. Did you have a dog? No. Did you have, did you put your computer away? No. And so he set this example where most people would absolutely not take responsibility. But he set this example that was like, oh, there were things that, if this was important, I would, maybe have some control over doing it. And it was a mindset shifter, for some people to see that there's actually this ability for you to guide things that are happening in your life. And even in every area of your life, you have to decide your priorities, right? What matters to you, what's important to you. So,
you did it again.
Woo, I love this. And I was just on a plane a couple of hours ago. So
hopefully it wasn't dropping bombs, but you are now. Yeah. So that is a cornerstone. I remember, my gosh, the first time I witnessed this whole thing called mindset and NLP was from my mentor, Mel Cutler. Gosh, probably 10 years ago. I was in the audience, and he spoke about what you just did right there. And he framed it as being at cause. And I train this of my team. Any new member of my team that comes in, they get trained on being at cause, and responsibility is the word. And so it's not always your fault, but it's good to look into it deep and say, could it some way, somehow be your responsibility? We go really deep. It's like you're in a car, you're driving, you stop at a stoplight, you get rear-ended. It's like, that's not my responsibility. Well, it's not your fault, but who decided to get up when you got up that day? Who decided to take that road to get to the more ridiculous you can make it, the more you will be you said the word control. The more you'll be in control of yourself, your own life, and not give it away to others when you're making excuses and reasons. But whoo-wee, that was, man, we're off to a rocking start here, Julieanne. My goodness.
I love it. It's funny. And I was just rear-ended, so I'm kind of laughing at that particular one. My daughter and I, we've been rear-ended twice together already. And we were laughing because that particular day that we got rear-ended, we actually had just in the moment shifted direction because one of my other daughters had been hurt, and we, got a message. And so we changed our path. And when we got rear-ended, I remember the experience of it being very grounding. And because I just don't ever pass blame, I should hope never. But never say never, but generally speaking, again. And so I just remember pulling over and just being in the most Zen state, because the mindset, the shift around, anything that's happening is somehow a gift. There's a gift in everything that comes your way. And so I just, it's so funny, my husband, he laughs at me because, anything, he could bring my car home in any condition and, holes in it, smash, whatever. And I'm like, as long as you're okay. And if you're not okay, let's fix that. Let's deal with that. But we just laugh. We're like, it's just life, right? I think it's not, it just is, right? It's not good or bad. It just is. So, and it's all in how we interpret it. It's all in how we look at it.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I could wear out this bomb button, but I'm telling you, interpretation, that's the key. And here I always say you can either let circumstances control your attitude, or you can let your attitude dictate your circumstances. And you're the living proof of that. You practice this every single day. And I love everything you're saying, because when we get too bogged down in all the, pardon me for saying it, the crap, and let it take our mind into a negative path, all the time you're in that path, you are not productive. You are not doing anything that's helping anybody, not even yourself. So if you do get upset, let it out, be done with it. We're human. You're going to have emotions. You might get pissed off. It's okay. I'm not saying you, Julieanne, because you probably never do. Yes, yeah. You do. It's okay,
Wait, that's the other thing. Perfection. Embrace your imperfections, because then I absolutely get pissed off. But it's very short-lived, and it is. I totally accept that. We're all human, and we all have different ways, right, of dealing with life and dealing with our emotions. And but it's amazing how much you do have in your court if you do decide that you want to control it or change it in some way that's positive. So,
and it's obvious that you practice what you preach, and that is why you're so successful as a quality of life trainer. I mean, it's right down the alley. So it's obvious you're an expert in the field. And it's what I love about this is that, how many people have we seen that are sayers but not doers? They say to do one thing, but they themselves don't practice it. They don't practice what they preach. I can tell. I mean, it's obvious you do. And it's thankfully, I'm finding more and more people who are of high quality and high caliber that do that come on this show. They wouldn't be on this show if they didn't have that, exhibit that kind of behavior. But there are still those out there. I literally, my gosh, I was crewing many years ago. I was a crew member running microphones, doing whatever they wanted at an event for a speaker. I'm not going to name names, but I remember there was a break. And behind the curtain, literally, it was a large stage, 500 people were in the event. At lunch, I was talking to this individual and said, that last thing you had up that you were training on, that was phenomenal. Can you tell me a little bit more about it? I mean, we had time, and he was just eating and looked up at me and said, oh, with a mouthful of whatever, chicken or something. Yeah, that, I actually, I don't do that. I think they should do it. It's a good thing for them to do. I'm like, and my jaw dropped. I think it still has a nick right here where it hit the table. I mean, unbelievable. I lost all respect in an instant. And I had been working with this individual for more than a year. And yeah, it was unbelievable. I'm like, oh my gosh.
So, okay. So on that, so I giggle because somebody was telling me, all of their issues the other day, and they were then sharing with me their gifts for training. And I thought to myself, what they didn't realize and or pair up is that really they have this desire to train on these things that are their very problems. And I think we teach what we need to learn a lot. And so even hearing that, sometimes I question, I like that the guy admitted it, and I get why you lost respect, but the flip side of it, I still, I think about it and I think about when I started out my career and I was teaching about relationships, man, I wasn't doing it. And I stumbled through. And there's also another person I heard who was teaching about money, and she wasn't doing it. And then there was like the, come to Jesus talk with yourself, where you're like, oh my God, I can't, I have to walk the talk. Like I can't, I'm a fraud, like if I don't do it. And so there is a time and place for that, for people who might actually be experiencing that now, where they do kind of beat up on themselves. But then you come to terms with yourself, and then you set an intention to, discipline yourself to do the thing that you're teaching. And so, it's interesting. I mean, I'm not saying this guy was ever going to do it, but sometimes that's part of the process, right?
Well, and I'm glad you said all that, because I don't want to freak people out, because it's okay if you do something, what I call by extension, if you haven't done it yet, but you have a trusted third party that you and or the whole group knows is doing it successfully with integrity and character, and that it does work, even if you're not currently practicing or you have not seen the success from practicing it. It's okay to present it as something that people should do. I'll say that is not where this person was coming from, though.
Yeah, they were like owning it as if it were their own, probably, right? It's out of integrity.
Well, yeah, and just not saying like, I loved one of the things my mentor always did from stage. He started everything off. He said, I am not here to teach you anything new. And you could hear a pin drop. We're like, why are we here? All I've done is I've taken things I've learned over the years and put them together in a certain sequence, in a certain manner that I have found success. And I would like to teach that with you. Would that be okay? I'm like, all right. Now the table's set, pre-framed, done. He can do anything and say anything that other people do if he, and if he's following that model, or he knows people who are following that model that are trusted, it's cool.
Yeah, I like that. And, and there's so much truth in that. Right. And I like to, when I'm training from stage, I especially, because you just, people don't resonate with everybody anyway. And so even when you come to the table with all this knowledge, and you could, all day long, I've been handed as much as I've handed the gifts of knowledge to people on how to do things. And, people are going to take it or leave it. I've gotten to the point now in my career where, because, there's enough, it's like the 5% that are going to give you negative reviews or whatever, and then you obsess about it. But I just start out and I'm like, look for one thing. Just look for one thing. I'm not asking you to like me. I'm not asking for you to resonate with everything I say. I'm not even asking you to agree, but maybe there could be one thing you could take away, and it would be of value to you, and something in your life changes in a positive direction from that, and, I had to take my own advice last night, because I was at an event and I was listening to a speaker, and, it was really tough topic matter, like really tough to sit through. And I walked away by being open to the possibility that there might be something that came out of it. I walked away with, changed, and I'll never be the same because of it. And again, because in a positive way, because I got the one thing, it's like, so, it's not always the whole sequence. Sometimes, we have to be hit over the head with the material too.
Yeah, I teach it as one of many keys of success. One of them, and the first one that I teach, is the idea of having an open mind, because it's just like a parachute. It only works when it's open. And you just basically said that by saying, keep an open mind. This is really hard to get through, but I'm sure I could learn something from it. And so by telling yourself that, you allowed it to happen. If we say, oh my gosh, this is unbelievable, this is the worst thing, and I probably know all that. Well, if you go through that, you just shut yourself off from learning, and you're going to be there anyway, right? If you're going to sit through it, you may as well make the best of it, like Julieanne, like you're doing, and saying, well, I'm sure there's something I can get from this. I'm just going to keep an open mind and see what I can get out of this. That's a winner's attitude. That's a winner's mentality. That is why she is successful. One of the reasons. There's many reasons she's successful, and she's telling you many of them tonight. I hope you're taking notes. Look, I'm running the show, and I'm taking notes. I have them to prove. Started a little bit. There you go. Look at that. And so it's very, that's another one of the keys to success, is take incredible notes all the time, everywhere you go. There are a bunch of them. Oh my gosh, I'm having fun. So I talked about books in the beginning and the importance of reading them. What would you say is the one business related book that has inspired you the most up till now? If you had to choose one.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to give you a recent one because there's so many. My God, reading is so critical. I would say that all of my education came from books and people and none of it from school. So in fact, maybe I should write the book about unlearning your education. But so the most recent book that I read, actually listened to on Audible, was Never Split the Difference. And, I'm sure a lot of people have read it. But if you haven't, wow, written by a former hostage negotiator, Chris Voss, and truly hit a nerve for me. And it gave me a new way of, owning my own shit. So
I love that because, and this is what I want to advise folks that are listening and watching right now. When you hear things like this from someone as successful as Julieanne, when she recommends or anyone that's on this show, and we've had many that have done this, that recommend a book, I just wrote it down. I have not read it. And I will, and I love Audible too. I knew there was something else about you I like. And what I do is I go back to my notes after the show's over, just like you will do, and go to Audible and I order it. I put it in my library, and it's now in my reading list of upcoming books. And the cool thing is, Julieanne, we're actually compiling a list of books that are recommended by our guest. We just started doing that recently. And so we're going to have a list that's always available along with Reach Your Peak Library so that we can just keep that thing growing for those that are impactful, because there's no way I read enough books that were that impactful to fill the whole library. That could be, obviously yours is one of them. Let's see. Greetings from Los Angeles, says Gracie Ruth Melendez. Hello, Gracie. So great to have you on. Do you know her by chance?
I'm like, oh, why does that look familiar?
Welcome to the show, Gracie. She's coming in by LinkedIn.
Yeah, welcome.
Appreciate you coming on. And yeah, so books are phenomenally important. I listen to those more than I listen to podcasts personally. But you should listen to the Mind Body Business Show podcast. It is on 25 different podcasting platforms. You can see a few of them beneath. So shameless plug. That was a perfect segue.
I was going to say that was ideal. And for what it's worth, I'm also going to, in my masterminds from here on out, I'm going to send them to your book link rather than try to give them a one sheet or send them later. This is going to be my new resource. So I'm going to go check it out, and I might send you a few more if they're not on there.
That makes me feel wonderful that it will actually get seen and used and help people. That's all I care to do, is help people. Oh, that'd be phenomenal. And, yeah, that'd be awesome.
That's great. It's so perfect. I had not had a resource. I had not had a single place to send people online. Not to say that there aren't some. There's probably quite a few. But you'll be my resource from here on out. So thank you. I'll add you to my resource list. Man.
I may revive this. When I first started the show, way back almost 3 years ago, I would actually play a snippet, an audio snippet from Audible directly on the show, but I would select just the piece that was pertinent to that night's show, and the author would read it. It would just take, 30 seconds to a minute as part of the show before we intro. I don't know. What do you think of that idea? Is that too much, or?
I like it if it flows. I mean, if it works, right? I kind of like it. If you're going to are you going to pull from so it's like an actual snippet from the Audible recording, in other words, right?
Exactly.
Okay. I was going to say, or bring the author on for a quick snippet.
Well, I know a certain author that's on this show. I don't know if she has any on Audible yet.
I might have a couple. I have one on Audible. Spelling It Out for Your Man is definitely on Audible. Spelling It Out for Your Career is not yet, but I need to put it up there.
You don't happen to have a copy handy next to you that you could show the peeps? Oh, ready.
Let's see. I'll work on this. Here we go. Let's see if I can pull it up fast enough that I don't slow the roll.
That's all right.
Okay, let's see. Go to the library, and here we go. Let's see. The Nature of Men, and From a Lack of Willpower.
There it is.
Pause it.
Oh, there you go.
Spelling it out for your man. I don't know if my camera's catching it, but there you have it.
Looks great. Thank you very much. We'll give you one for that. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes. Yeah, whether you're single or married, it doesn't matter. It's a fun read for what it's worth. I have especially men who love the book, but really it's written for both. And so yeah, please enjoy. If you need a copy, reach out to me also.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, definitely. And we need to, we'll get folks a way to contact you later in the show as well. David Gonzalez from LinkedIn says, what's going on? Well, this show's going on. Julieanne O'Connor is going on. Thanks for coming by, David. Appreciate you commenting and participating and watching. You want to stay on to the end, definitely, for so many reasons, but primarily for this young lady and her brilliance. So, author, I mean, what happened? Let me ask you this. I love this. I love bringing this up. So people, when you wrote your first book, when you finished it, and you were able to tell people that you're an author, how did that impact your life in a business sense?
Oh my gosh. So, it's a funny thing. I didn't set out to be an author. That was never my intention. And so when I finally wrote the book, it was a passion project. And it was because I was so tired of repeating myself trying to help people. And so there was just a day I was like, somebody should put this in a book. Nobody's going to put this in a book. I should put this in a book. And that was sort of like the inner dialogue, right? But once it was completed, having a book is a door opener. And it does make you an authority as much as typically, people are authorities when they're writing on a topic, right? That's not always the case. Sometimes you're not an authority. Sometimes part of the process is just your journey. But literally once I did the book, what changed for me is I decided to do a book tour. And honestly, I started, I was doing book signings at Barnes and Noble and doing book signings at whatever little bookstores. And I was so bored. And so I decided this is terrible, right? I shouldn't even show. Why'd you ask me this question? But anyway, so what I decided to do was start booking book signings at wineries.
Oh my God.
So I started booking them and the people were so cool. There was no resistance whatsoever to doing book signings at wineries. That led to bars and girls. And I ended up going up the coast and traveling, and everywhere I went, I could get into a winery and I would be sipping on the best wines and people would be around me and they would just spill everything about their personal lives,
Yeah,
and it just gave me more material. Yeah. And, but it was so much fun. And even if I didn't have a drink, it was just a totally, it'd be at a vineyard, it'd be gorgeous. And I'd have a line of people and I'm signing books and I'm just like, this is awesome. So I think the biggest thing that changed for me is it opened all the doors I wanted. And I learned to absolutely embrace fun. I just decided I was not going to do it if it was not fun. It became business for a minute and I went, this sucks. And as soon as it got too like that, I just shifted it. And then when it got fun, it opened more doors. So anyway, from there, it just grew, of course, and life changed.
I'm deeply curious how you pulled that off, how you approached wineries. And I mean, have you put something together to show people how you did that yet?
Oh my gosh, I never even dreamed of doing that. That's so funny.
What a market. That is such a genius market. I've never heard of that. Maybe others have.
Yeah.
I love my wife and I love to go wine tasting. And when you said that, I'm like, what? Because everyone's happy.
Everyone's happy. They're having a blast. And the only major flaw in it, I should say, is that you've got to ship books there or they have to order them in. And so you want to kind of have your streamline it in some way, but really ultimately it's just such a beautiful time. And in fact, for my next book, I have to get really creative and figure out, maybe I want to do it all at, whatever beach resorts, or I don't know. I want to do something else that's that out there that is just all the places I want to be, all the things I want to do and incorporate the book signing. And that will be my tour. It's like, oh, I've always wanted to do this. Like my book tour will be this random, like, why are you doing a book tour in Tahiti at this, hotel on the beach? But I'm like, because why not?
I mean, to me, I'm thinking you have a whole program in and of itself just to show people how to do that. I'm so curious about how the conversation went. Did you have a PR agent to help get people to the winery, or is it just the people that were already there and they saw this book signing in the corner?
No,
I love the details.
It was promoted. It was definitely promoted. So the wineries did tons of the work for me, the legwork. They would get it in publications. I had a PR person as well. And, I had an assistant. I did some of my own bookings, and then I had people who helped me. But truthfully, anybody could pick up the phone and you call the owner of a winery, and they are the nicest. And you know what? They want people too. So I always think when you think in terms of how it's going to help somebody else and it's unique for them, or they don't do it all the time. I still don't know if I've been to another book signing in a winery or a brewery that I've stumbled upon or seen.
Right.
But I had one. It's so interesting. I had one book tour I did. I mean, they had a spread. It was a winery. It was absolutely beautiful. And somebody had come out from like Florida for it. And I was like, what? Oh. And they had read about it in something. And my book was going around a book club at that point that they were in. And I think it was Florida. And it was like, I was like, what? And she's like, hugging me. And I'm just like, what are you talking about? Like, what? Why? But you don't know how you can impact somebody's life until you've written a book, I think. Or there's many other ways to do it. But since you're so curious about this, I'll give you all my gifts and then you share it. You can incorporate it in your program.
We'll do something together.
Yeah, we'll collaborate. Let's collaborate.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think you're onto something big. You've already cracked it, but we have several comments and questions coming in. Let's see. Mateus Almeida de Arajo. I'm sure I got that wrong. Can a depressed girl lose attraction for a guy because of her depression?
Absolutely. Yeah, of course. And that's a really heartfelt question. And there's a lot of things that can be said about that topic. Here's the bottom line is, first of all, you don't want to layer guilt on top of it. We can lose attraction for each other for a lot of reasons. We lose attraction when we're not depressed. Let's be real. So, life is a funny thing. It's a series of choices. And, they've done studies where you have an attraction for 12 months and then your body chemistry doesn't even produce the same hormones anymore. You can't even have the same attraction unless you're fighting and making up or something very tumultuous. So I think it's a really sweet question. I think I would always, if you're concerned about it, go deal with the you part of it. When you take care of you, you are better for any partner. And so you deal with your self-worth and your depression first. That's the highest priority. And then hopefully the rest of it will resolve itself if you're meant to, have that attraction. I hope that's a helpful answer for you in this very short moment.
that we have. That as bombs of love right there. Yes, that was phenomenal. And you could see the wonderful how she's so empathetic and just you're a beautiful person. You're a beautiful person. I just love this. I love what I get to do. You know what I'm saying? It is amazing. We have some more comments. These are cool. David Gonzalez from LinkedIn was peppering us with some, and we're talking about the winery book signings. So what a great idea! Because wow, you have quite a number running through there.
That's creative. Great. That's very creative and very cool. You could do all, the marketing ideas that came out of, people doing hand sanitizers and masks and all that stuff in the very, very get-go, the first people doing it. I love it. That's thinking outside the box.
Yeah. And he didn't stop there. He said, but kudos to the winery route. Definitely a good move. And then saw David Wolf speak at Napa.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Yeah.
So think about that. Speaking engagements. And then how about a bud and breakfast? Man, I'm not so sure about drinking. I think that meant beer in the morning.
I'm not going to interpret that one. I wasn't even going to go there. But since you did, Brian.
That was great. Thank you, David. I appreciate that. We both do. And this has been a lot of fun. We still have a ways to go. My goodness. I'm just trying to think of, yeah, this is one of my absolute favorite questions that I ask on this show, because here's the thing, when it comes to developing and building a successful business, marketing is the lifeblood. And one of the unfortunate things we see and probably saw during the COVID shutdowns of all these businesses is they do it in phases, and oftentimes they cut marketing first. It's like cutting their lifeblood. And I'm like, oh, you sealed your fate. It's over. Mm-hmm. And so marketing is so important, so vitally important. If you're going to learn if you're going to get good at one thing, and here's the thing, marketing isn't one thing. That's why it is so sought after and so difficult for so many. For you, Julieanne, how do you go about marketing your business? We just heard of a couple of them. I know that the book signings were also there to segue into, or some of them, if they were pertinent to your business specifically, to segue into your business. But what are your go-to, like the ones that work the best, the juice? What has been your most successful form of marketing thus far?
Oh, so now I have to pick a business to decide on how I market it to share. So I have several businesses. So here's what I'm going to say is always lead from heart. So during COVID, I'll just give this as an example. During COVID, my phone rang with cancellations faster than I could go in the computer and cancel. And so I was literally writing a list of people that I had to go in and cancel. And so this is over about a 2-day period. And so what I decided right away, of course, it was that, there's a moment of panic that you have. And then I went, wow, these people are scared and these people are hurting or they're fearful, whatever it is. How can I help them? And so what I did is I went back and I said, you know what, rather than cancel, why don't I just gift you your services? And let's do that for the next 3 months. And then you decide if you want to stay canceled or not. And either way, I'm here for you. And then I asked myself, how can I go a step further? And so what I did is I went and literally e-blasted my clients that weren't canceled and said, if you want free services, tell me now and I will give them to you. So I think when you lead with heart, and I'll tell you what happened is I would say all but a very tiny handful of those clients are my clients still to this day. They're all doing fantastic. And I think when you take opportunities in downturns and you really look at them as opportunities. My business is booming more than it's ever boomed ever. And so that's an example, but then probably the other number one thing that I would say, I'm a huge fan of marketing. I do all types of marketing. And I never stop marketing, honestly. Even, it's like, I know there's so many great quotes out there about, if you're not in the press, get in the press. Like there's so many ways to be, do your PR, but I always do it with a purpose. I never just do it just to do it. I always have a strategy. What am I trying to, accomplish? And then I work backwards from my strategy. So I'm not just trying to be famous to be famous. If I want to help people, then this is going to serve a purpose. Right. And so, I do so much in-person stuff still. And I would say that has been key. I speak from stage, I train, I help, I give my gifts away. And then if they want to come back and buy them, then they can do that as well. So give it away, lead from heart. I don't know if that's helpful and answers your question entirely. I could get really specific, but I'm not going to do that.
Are you kidding? Are you kidding? Is that helpful? Those were awesome. I loved that. I was taking notes and I loved so many of the things you said. But one was, basically start from the end, the result. And that's what we talk about, always have the outcome in mind before you even embark on something. What is your outcome, your desired outcome? And then, so that was beautifully said, how you described that. And what I got from that is what I hear a lot of that is often not executed on, and that is over deliver. Right. Sometimes they say under promise and over deliver. I don't like the under promise part of that saying, but, promise and then over deliver. Don't, why under promise?
Yeah, exactly. Right.
But
and then, I'll add to that really quickly is, it's interesting because strategies shift and you change, but, you always want to know your reason why you're trying to accomplish something, right? The why behind it, of course. But I can tell you story after story where, the strategy and the marketing went hand in hand. But, if you are trying to build your influence, for example, and it's because you want to launch a book, as an example, to take my book, my very first book, people told me you'll never get published because you're a brand new author. You're not going to find a publisher, traditional publisher, so I thought, oh, okay, well, what can I do to market this to get a publisher? And so I went and built a Facebook following. That was a few years back, but and then as soon as you hit a certain amount, then you go, oh, okay, let's test it, so then I tested it and I right away got a publisher. But had it not gotten me a publisher that I had built a following, then I would say, wait, that's not working. It's like sometimes I think also people continue to do things that don't work and they don't test and they're afraid to, shift and experiment. So I think you got to experiment a lot in marketing.
Yeah, and that's the whole part about being flexible, right? As an entrepreneur, it's very key to be able to, like the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over and over again, expecting a different result. Sometimes, though, I will say persistence does pay off. On that note, that it will seem like nothing's happening, and then suddenly, but over the years of building, it can come to fruition. This is a perfect example. This show, Julieanne, I ran this show for about 2 years before I started seeing momentum hit.
Oh, yeah.
The thing is Lewis Howes. He's a kind of a household name in entrepreneur circles. He's prominent, and he was interviewed on stage. I'll never forget this. I saw this on YouTube, and the interviewer asked him, he said, Lewis, if you were to start a podcast, or if someone came to you saying, I want to start a podcast, what would be the advice you'd give them? And he didn't think very long. He said, well, here's what I would tell them. Number one is you have to be committed to be consistent. And number two is if you're not willing to commit right now to doing that for 2 full years, then my advice is don't start one at all. And I almost fell out of my chair. You know why? It was when I saw that I had been doing this show right about 2 years and things were beginning to open up. It was like yeah, exactly. I was just going to do that. That's so funny. Yes. Open the sky's open. And I was like, oh my gosh. I mean, I had 2 multi-million-dollar contracts in my hand. Of course, COVID eradicated that, unfortunately, but things happen. That was the point. And it was amazing. And it's true. You got to be persistent, stick to it. And you're going to have naysayers that are saying, like you said, no, you're never going to get published. And you just said, good, thank you for that. Now I'm going to show you you're wrong, and make sure it happens. Oh, we got another one. Yes. I love Don Hopperich. He's a local man, works in the chamber. He's the head of the Chamber of Commerce here. The best marketing I found was that I started a little over a year ago with Antelope Valley local business deals within a Facebook group. We continue to grow week after week. It's unbelievable. Yeah, and he's, Don is very consistent. He's always doing a Facebook Live. He's the most supportive man I've met in a long time of businesses in general. He's just a gem, an angel of a man. Thank you, Don.
Yeah,
appreciate
thanks.
Coming on and engaging, and appreciate what you do for our local community here in the wonderful, glorious AV.
I love that. That's great. Yeah, the Facebook groups and the mastermind groups. It's really all about looking around at your current resources. I think we spend so much energy trying to find stuff out there, and it's all right in our lap already, and we just don't realize it. Like the contacts are there. We have people who know people. There's so much you could do if you're willing to help people. I love, Brian, that I asked you, what's your mission before the show, and you told me that it was to help people, and that really touched me, because I thought, I'm in the right place to be on your show. I love working with people who care about other people. They care outside their business. It's not just about the bottom line. It's about what the bottom line can do for this world. Or their personal.
Wow. Was that did you make that up? I mean,
I don't even know what I said.
Oh, that was genius. Okay, so we have this recorded, and we're at about, oh my gosh, Julieanne, I've been so engaged. We're 5 minutes out from the end. I cannot believe it. So are you okay to go another hour? I know you just got home from a flight. I'm just kidding. We'll be respectful not only of your time, but everyone watching. Who knows?
My children will be coming in and climbing on me, and it's totally fine. We could go for like 3 more, and then we'll be doing it from bed. I'll be.
Well, hey, bring them in. The more intimate we can make it, the better. That's good. But this has been phenomenal. So my goodness, or 5 minutes out. So there's one question I like to end every show with. We're not done yet. So everyone watching, yes, the prize is still coming. Actually, there's more than one prize, I believe. I think a little birdie told me that Julieanne has something to offer for everyone. Yes. If that's still good, if you remember what that was from all those months ago.
100%.
And also, before we go into that, the question is phenomenal. It's powerful. It's impactful. It's unique. I can't wait to spring it upon you. And before we do that, though, I want to lift you up and let people know more. Let people know what it is you do exactly for people, for the people you talked about, the CEOs and the leaders of businesses. And I want to pull up your website and just give you a moment to just let this thing shine, because it needs to shine. More people need to be impacted by you because of just who you are. And I would like to give you an opportunity just to let people know about what it is you do and how you help people. And there's your book. Look at that. Everything's there.
Well, thank you. I love that. I never want to do a commercial, but here's the thing is, I figured out for me a long time ago that what really mattered to me was my quality of life. And I'm sure that is true for everybody, but I think people lose sight of it sometimes. So I really am a quality of life coach, and that's sort of made up, it's just, to me, I was like, what do I most love helping people with? And then I just, said, you know what, it's quality of life. And I do coaching. Naturally, you end up doing coaching, especially if you're an author. You have people come to you for advice a lot. But you learn from other people's issues and how you help them and the results you see. So I do work primarily with a really, really small group of people. So I can't actually take on a lot of clients, but I do work with CEOs, executives, and dentists. And I do quality of life coaching, and I'm happy to, help those who are reaching out to me for that kind of help. So,
well, fantastic. If you fit the mold of any of those, then this is the woman to connect with. And there's her website. It's on the screen right now. It's spellingitout.com. Spellingitout.com. And what's another fantastic way for folks to get in touch with you? Is it Facebook, LinkedIn, or is the website where you'd like people to go? You get to choose.
Oh, perfect. Well, woohoo. You know what? The website is probably the easiest because you can do a contact right through the site. And yeah, I'm on all of, social media, but I got to be honest, it's overwhelming, and I outsource all of that. So back to a company that I run. So there you have it. So if you need social media management, I can help you there too. But yeah, so that's probably the safest, and all of my social media is there, but this will get looked at because it'll come to my inbox.
Very smart. I think that's the right approach, because I'm with you. It's overwhelming. There's too many platforms out there, and they're growing daily. But yeah, definitely go to spellingitout.com, spellingitout.com, and click on the contact link that's near the top in the nav bar up there. If you want to reach out to Julieanne, everybody's watching, I'm sure, will reach out to you because you're just a gem. And they'll want to work with you, especially seeing how heartfelt you are and genuine, authentic character. You've got all of the qualities that I would love to work with, someone like you daily. And I know everyone else out there who has just witnessed and experienced who you are would love to do the same. Appreciate you for being who you are. We're not done yet, but it's throwing in a few things that I'm observing that are from the heart. And you're just, you're a gem, and there needs to be more like you out in the world. And I want to find them and bring them on the show to share with others, not to bring them for me, but to share with others, to let people in and understand that there are wonderful, amazing individuals like Julieanne O'Connor out there to help people. So
it takes one to know one. So thank you. It takes one to know one. Thank you for that.
Thanks so much. So yes, and then that question we wanted to end with, but before we do that, I wanted, since we're on the topic of your business and what you do, you had a giveaway, and I recall it was a no-cost consultation that would normally run around $1,500, and I'm guessing we're going to give that out to one lucky person. because your time is valuable as well. How can they get that? And I think I have that on the screen.
So you know what? So I'll do a complimentary coaching session essentially. And the consult is really a first coaching session, and it's sort of a discovery a session. So if somebody's interested in that, they can contact me right through the website, or they can send me an email to spellingitout@yahoo.com. I don't know how you narrow it down and do just one. But if I have 100, I might have to do a drawing. But I'll contact you. I'll get back to you, so it kind of just depends on what that looks like when I receive it. But yeah.
Fantastic. That is so wonderful that you'll do that. So it's spellingitout@yahoo.com. Email Julieanne, and maybe just in the subject line said, heard of you on the Mind Body Business Show. So she has an idea who she's dealing with and where you came from, because to be honest, we couldn't figure out how we met. And we have at some point in time, I don't know how or where.
Right.
So every little bit will help. All the information you can give her is a plus. So fantastic. We'll clear that. Spellingitout@yahoo.com, and tell her I would like the no-cost consultation. And look, it may not even be a fit, and you don't want to waste either Julieanne's or your time. And so you could actually put in there to help her out, what do you want consulting on? Or what is the consultation on, Julieanne? Maybe we can ask you what kind of consultations you do to help with the volume so that you get less of it and it's the proper volume that you're getting.
Sure. So there's really like three things. One would be personal quality of life. It's really getting clarity on, what you want out of life, where you're at, what you want, where you're headed. And then the strategy part is, the why. And then the strategy part's the easy part that you plug in. So it's really a session that we'll kind of go through and get to the fundamentals of why you want stuff. And then you'll start to see what you may already even have and what you want to eliminate to kind of move forward. That's probably a really good preliminary one. We could do something on branding. If you're interested in doing branding for your business, that would be another option. I have some other things, but I'll keep it simple for today.
That's cool. Much appreciated for doing that. Seriously. And we have another one. So, I want to ask you this question. I'm chomping at the bit, and it's so compelling and profound. It's just, I can't put words against it. But before we do that, real quick, this is the time, and don't go anywhere after this, everyone watching and listening, but this is how you can enter to win a 5-night stay at a 5-star resort. Again, compliments of thebiginsidersecrets.com. So in the beginning, we said, keep your gaze and your attention here for Julie, on Julie. Just for a moment, we're going to both give you permission. Well, I'm speaking on behalf of Julieanne, but to take out your phone and bring up your text messaging app. Is that cool with you, Julieanne? I want to make sure.
Yeah, of course.
All right. And so bring up your text messaging app on your phone, and where you would put in the name of the person you're going to send a message to. Instead, put in this phone number, and that is 314-665-1767. And write this down real quick, because we're going to get rid of it so we can ask her the big question, because we ran a little bit over time, but we're doing good. 314-665-1767. And then where you would type in the message, that spot where you put in emojis and those fun things. Well, no emojis, real simple. 2 words separated by a dash or a hyphen. That is peak, P-E-A-K, dash, vacation. No spaces, peak-vacation. Go ahead, do that. And then know that once you do that, you're going to get an automatic response. And in that automatic response, you're going to be asked for your email address. Once you provide that, you are automatically entered into our random drawing. It's all automated, 100%. So just go ahead and do that. And I can't wait to announce the winner later on Facebook directly, with your permission, of course, before I do something like that. And now, the question. So
gotta run.
That was good. That was a good one. You may have to, actually, because I know that the kids are coming home. But here's the really cool thing about this question, Julieanne, and that is that there is no such thing as a wrong answer.
I like that.
It's really compelling. So the cool thing is the exact opposite is true. The only correct answer is yours. It's unique to you. And so when I ask it, If it comes to you right away, great. If it takes a while, great. Because whenever it comes to you is perfect because it's from you. You can relax and it's fun. It's going to be fun. You're going to enjoy it. And she's like, yeah, right. And that's okay. So are you ready?
We're over, folks. We gotta, Okay, so I'm so curious. You have me on the edge of my own seat here, just trying to figure out what the heck's he going to ask me. I'm not sure if it's going to be embarrassing now.
Oh no!
And that one I should be able to answer.
Yeah, I promise it's not embarrassing, and you're gonna. I know it's gonna be a phenomenal answer because it's yours. And I knowing you as little as I do, but I seem to know you. It's gonna be phenomenal. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, here we go. Julieanne O'Connor, how do you define success?
Oh, I love that. It's so personal. But I think I would say that I personally define success based on having the freedom to literally live the life that I desire on a daily basis, grounded in simplicity, in gratitude. It's in living without fear. It's and it's not saying that I don't have fear, but it's really in the freedom to embrace my flaws. It's like the more I feel okay with being entirely imperfect, the more I look back at where I've come from and how many like unbelievable things have happened in my life. I would say that success is when you get to the point where you embrace yourself, you love yourself in spite of whatever is happening around you or in front of you, and knowing that you're going to be okay. And it's in giving. It's growth and giving. It's like continuing to grow, continuing to give. It's thinking outside yourself, like being so okay that you don't have to focus on yourself anymore. So I think that would be, it's a lot of words that I just said. I wish I'd have known that question was coming. I would have had something prepped, but it's, it's in just being able to, it's like I think about social media a lot and how much people are so self-absorbed by it. And even I can be if I go in there and I'm worrying about what things look like. And as soon as I get away from that and I look outward towards, from my heart towards everything else and the lives, everybody's living their own life. Like everybody's got their own perspectives. They've got their own problems. They don't give a shit what kind of shoes I have on today. Like they don't care. And nobody cares. I don't remember anybody's shoes or how they were dressed when I go to an event. So somebody was at home, like worried about what they wore, and I think that's crazy because I'm not going to notice. So it's all in our own heads, right? So the more I think we can look at other people and try to figure out how to give back and be kind, that's success. It's never going to be for me about the awards and the accomplishments. That's all BS. Nobody cares about your awards. Nobody cares about your accomplishments. They really don't. Do it if you have a purpose that is driving you to do something that's greater than yourself. And that would be my advice or my definition of success.
Amazing. I just love dropping the bombs, but you're the one dropping them. I just love pressing that button. That was amazing. Thank you so much, Julieanne O'Connor. Yes, it was personal. That's what makes it so profound. I've had so many people. Here's the thing that's always constant with the guests I've had on my show. Not a single one of them related success directly to money. It was all about what money can help you to achieve, but it's not at the core of one's being or what they define success to be. And isn't that interesting? Isn't that very educational to people out there who maybe have not yet reached a level of success they're happy with? And maybe it's because we're concentrating too much on the money. Because in the beginning, let's face it, many of us have that scarcity attitude. I did, because we're worried about paying the bills more than we're worried about helping people. And then that starts shifting as you get more successful. And then the success starts growing exponentially because you're actually in the right lane now. And that's what Julieanne's doing right now. She's in that lane. She's in the fast lane, ladies and gentlemen. And she's speeding by and grabbing everybody and pulling them along and saying, I've got room in my car. Come with me. Come speed with me. I'm just thinking of this stuff. I should write a book myself.
Like the bomb again.
I had a guest say, give yourself a bomb. I was like,
I know,
okay.
we need some control so we can give you one here and there. And it would have been throughout everything you said. So yeah, you're inspiring me. You're super generous, you know, I mean, you're really, really generous in this show and in your praise and everything else. And I'm almost uncomfortable because of it, but no, it's really been fun. I really appreciate you having me.
Oh yeah. And it's all genuine and I mean it. And I'm just so grateful and thankful that people like you exist. I'm so dead serious. It's like, we need more Julieanne O'Connors in this world, but we need to wrap this up. We're like 11 minutes over, which is okay. I'm not paying for studio time. That's a beautiful thing. But, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you, Julieanne, for coming on and staying for over an hour and just dropping bomb after bomb of wisdom and knowledge and just being such a wonderful person and example that others to follow and providing incredible value the entire time that people can model and just follow and get success. So be sure to reach out and connect to Julieanne O'Connor. Remember, it's at spellingitout.com, spellingitout.com. And click the contact link, get connected with her, and you see what she's like. You've heard what she's like, and you know that she's going to be one that will embrace you and help you in any way she can. And all I ask is that please be respectful of her time and be respectful of her wisdom, her knowledge, her experience, and don't just abuse this. I know most of you watching wouldn't do that because you wouldn't watch this show if you were of that kind of mindset anyway. But just appreciate her for what she's offering you. And really be present and just show the respect she deserves. That's all I ask. All right. With that, I'm going to close this show up, Julieanne. Partying is such sweet sorrow. I have separation anxiety going on right now, but we have to do it. On behalf of the amazing Julieanne O'Connor, I'm your host, Brian Kelly of the Mind Body Business Show. Until next time, we'll see you again with another amazing entrepreneur. So long, everyone, and be blessed. Thank you for tuning in to the Mind Body Business Show podcast at www.themindbodybusinessshow.com. My name is Brian Kelly.